Paul versus Tyson. Tyson? The chicken? Nah, bro, the boxer, 'cause he's still kicking. Jakey v. Mike. That fight was rigged. They call me the wall. The way Mike got me bricked up in this place. Lovely, they call me. Success, goodwill, fortune. It all will befall me. Ooh, float like a butterfly. It stings when I pee. Do what I tell you to. Twiddle dee dee. Per my last email, and by email I mean YouTube video, I was informed that it looks like America is in crisis. So I have decided to make a bold move and flip the camera. So, oh wait, I don't know how to edit that. Hey, there it is. Man, this feels weird. So you may be asking yourself, Lovely, how did you come up with those insane bars at the beginning of this video? Well, really, you gotta connect with yourself, man. But believe it or not, it does have some relevance to what we're talking about today, because the subject at hand is something that I've never heard anybody else talk about, which means it's probably really stupid, but I guarantee that, well, actually, no, I don't. I'm sure somebody is gonna find this relevant, but it has to do with nursery rhymes. But basically, just think of like any well, maybe not any nursery rhyme. The one I'm thinking of is the one about the mouse and the clock. That one. Like, the mouse ran up the clock, something, something, something. The clock struck the clock struck one. The mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock. So there actually is something worth taking note of in there. And it pertains to music in a significant way, actually. It's a little something that I like to call nursery rhyme form. Now, what's funny about it is that we don't get the melodies that I'm talking about from nursery rhymes. I think actually we get nursery rhymes from well-constructed melodies. So now that I've sufficiently uncrisised our beloved nation, let's get into it. Yes, I put a hat on. No, it's not because I'm insecure about my hairline. But hairlines be accursed. I have something here. This is what I'm talking about with nursery rhyme. Can you see this? I'm just scooching right here. So I have this little example here in 12/8. Don't worry about the top. Nothing happened there. But basically, this is what I'm talking about. You have da dun da dun da 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 dun da dun da 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 dun da 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 dun da 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 dun da 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 da. That's what I call nursery rhyme feel. It's this is nothing new. It's just iambic pentameter. But here's where nursery rhymes and music come together, because iambic pentameter is a rhythmic flow for speech. Speech is rhythmic, right? Everything we say is rhythmic. So speech is rhythmic, and iambic pentameter is one of those rhythms that we've outlined. And iambic pentameter is the most common rhythm used in nursery rhymes. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. That's another one. It's iambic pentameter. Dun 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 dun. Okay, you get it. No need to beat a dead horse here. But the point I'm trying to make is that nursery rhyme, iambic pentameter, I could be totally wrong on this, so fact check me if I am. But iambic pentameter actually doesn't originate from nursery rhymes and English. Probably English. It actually originates from good melodies. So here I've got another string quartet. That looks weird. String quartets, I guess, are just going to be the standard for anything I'm talking about here. But this quartet is actually a very good example of what I'm talking about. So even just comparing this first line here, you can see the similarities between that and this. Or maybe you can't, because honestly, they look nothing alike. But if we come back here, you can hear what I'm talking about. So how does any of this make sense? Well, let me show you. Let me just preface this idea by saying a lot of this really is just a phrasing thing, and it's not specifically iambic pentameter. If it's in 12/8, or if it's 4/4 with triplets, or 6/8, something like that, sure, it could be iambic pentameter. A lot of it is just the shape of the melody, the phrasing, and how it all works together. And I also have to preface this by saying this has to be in styles of music where the melody is in even numbers of measures. 4, 8, whatever it is, it has to be even. Because if it's not, then it's probably not going to fit. It is possible that it could fit, but it's not going to fit as well. So let me just try and make this make sense by speaking the melody. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. So already you can hear some similarities, right? Because the first bit dun 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 dun. Okay, you get that. This thing, it actually follows it pretty close. Dun 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 dun. It's really close, but it's just straightened out. But really, at its most basic form, here's what it is. You're going to have your expositional measure, another measure that copies your expositional measure, a third measure that deviates, and a fourth measure that takes the original idea and finishes it. So what do we have here? Expositional measure. Next measure copies the expositional measure. Third measure deviates just a little bit on the last couple notes, and then your fourth measure sums it up. Now, I will say I don't take the initial exposition of the melody with these 4 notes here and put it in the fourth measure, but what do? I take the next 2 notes and I use those to form the ideal basis for the fourth measure. So what do I have? Right here, I have a 4-bar phrase that follows what I call nursery rhyme form. Let me give you another example. This is the second movement to that same string quartet, and actually what I realized when I was writing it is that I used the same initial idea with the 4/8 notes. But yeah, this one is very similar, so see if this helps at all. Okay, this one actually I think fits a little bit better than the first example because in the last bar, I do make the first 4 notes 8th notes, just like I did in the first bar. So again, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So expositional measure, second measure, copies expositional measure, third measure expands on it, fourth measure keeps the same idea from the beginning and finishes it. Is any of this making sense? I swear I'm right on this. This is something that I've tried to explain to so many people and nobody's got it. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. But yeah, actually there's a ton of classical songs that do this as well. My favorite example is Brahms Concerto 2 Movement 1, which actually this is where I got this whole crazy idea in the first place, is I heard the expositional melody with the French horn and the piano, and then he does it again with the French horn and the piano, and then he changes it, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And it's like, it's something so unique. Like I've never heard anybody else talk about this before, but it makes so much sense in my head. And I really want to know, like, tell me in the comments, does this make sense to you at all? And if it does this help you form better melodies? Because remember, the whole idea of this, how do I make music better? It's about excellence. And if you have these principles in your mind of, oh, I can use this idea that is based on iambic pentameter, that actually I think iambic pentameter is based off of, but I can take this idea and I can make a good melody out of it because this is my initial measure, and then I've got the second measure that does the same thing on different notes, and then I've got a third measure that's like a little crazier, and then the fourth measure that calms it back down. Like it's a cheat code to writing music. I swear I'm not crazy. This makes so much sense to me. So please tell me in the comments, does this also make sense to you, or am I just a lunatic? Anyway, that's all for today. Remember, excellence is key. Excellence will always make your mediocre song a little less mediocre because you're putting in the effort that your music deserves. I'll see you next week. New videos every Thursday. And if you want to be notified when they come out, hit the subscribe button and join my lovely throng.